Hi everyone and welcome back to Taslima Maya Art Studio. I've really missed you. So I'm back today making some really pretty UV resin jewellery using dried flowers. I'll be working with red, yellow and white flowers and turning them into rings and stud earrings using my silicone moulds from Temu. I'll be showing you some of the tools I use and a few extra fillers that you can experiment with too. So let's get started. So for this project I'm using UV resin from Let's Resin. This is the hard type which cures really nicely and gives a strong finish. I also have at hand coloured resin from Jade Diction. This is the 8 colour box set which you can get, and I've got discount codes for all these things in my description box below. I'll be using them in a future video. You'll also need some very small or mini scissors for those dried flowers and some tweezers to grab hold of them. I've also got this beautiful selection of dried and pressed flowers. These are from Let's Resin. Some of them were from Temu and others were from other places. I've also got these gorgeous stickers. I thought about using these, but I think the molds are too small for these lovely butterfly stickers. And again, you can see the assortment of colours and a vibrancy of those colours in each of my dried flower packets. I just wanted to show you these micro flakes, which are from Colour Art, but they're gorgeous as well and something you could consider. And these butterflies, which were from Temu, as well as seashells. So you really have to think about what sort of theme you're going to go for. I'm going to keep it very simple for mine and just have dried flowers in these gorgeous silicone ring molds. Now I've never used these molds before and I ordered them from Temu quite a while back now, and look at these, they look fantastic, right? And I can't wait to see what they come out as once we've done this project. But you can see there's a few different sizes of ring there. So you've got 16, 17 and 18 in the numbers, I believe, and they fit different sized fingers. And hopefully I'll be able to tuck my dried flowers into those segments there in the ring. I'll also be doing some ear studs as well, which I've never done either. And these are the silicone molds and the backings, and the hypoallergenic with the backings. But you can see that they're very, very miniature. They're very small earring studs. And the mould there is looking really good. And there's the backings that I then resin on the back using UV resin. So, and there's the back of the studs. So what we'll do then is try and find very, very small flowers to pop into those stud silicone molds. Here are the 3 ring sizes, and I'm really excited to try this because I've been meaning to do it for a while and see what the possibilities are in terms of beautiful handmade designed jewellery using just UV resin. Now you can see with the rings in particular that they're quite deep, so I might have to do a few layers of UV resin and cure in between each layer, which is fine. And I'm happy to do that with the hard resin that we saw earlier from Let's Resin. So I'm going to make 2 sets of earrings, and I'm going to be masking up and making sure I protect my health because we are dealing with resin ultimately. Make sure you have a ventilation in the room that you're working in. So you've got a window open and you've got air circulating. This is the flower I'm going to be using for one of the rings. It's beautiful, isn't it? And the vibrancy of that colour is stunning. So if you want links to where I got all my flowers and bits and bobs from, you can find them down in the description box below. And please do check out my other playlists for resin projects as well. There's a lot of wealth of knowledge in those videos as well, if you're starting out particularly. Trying to find another few flowers. Should I go for blue? I think I decided not to go for blue and decided to use red in one of the rings, yellow in another. I like this one. This one's beautiful. Go really well with that smaller one that I showed you at the beginning. And I think this is the fun and creative bit, is when you get to decide what the colour balance will be, what you're going to do in terms of selection of leaves and flowers, and trying to find things that complement each other. And there's no real right or wrong way of doing this. It's just about instinct, I think, and preferences. I do like those as well. They're quite pretty. They're very flattened. So what I might do for the ear studs is, oh, that's the yellow one I used for one of the rings. I like that. That was beautiful. I'm probably going to use for the ear studs, because they're so small, I'm probably going to use some of the smaller flowers. And I'll show you which ones I mean. Not these larger ones, although they would fit in the ring mould really. That purple one's quite pretty as well. And some of these are ones that I pressed myself, like this one. I didn't press them, I just dried them in my silicone. There is a video for the flower dryings as well. I'll try and put a link below. But time to start with my first ring. I'm going to pop the first flower in. And they are super delicate, these dried flowers. These have been pressed so they're even more delicate. I'm going to try and very gently coax it into that compartment there in the silicone mould. You can see how I've deliberately bent it and tried to be gentle so I don't break any of the little bits off. Adding that one piece that fell off in as well. I'm going to actually layer this down with a little bit of UV resin and use my torch, my UV torch, to just make it stay there. If I filled it up, it would probably float up, you see. So I need to just do it in a little bit of layering to make sure it doesn't come back up. And I'll just tilt that all around so all the air bubbles come out. And as the air bubbles come out, I'll then use my UV torch just to make sure that hardens up and those flowers stay in place, ready for the next layer. Yep, it's rock hard now, so time for the other red flowers. And it's lovely that I found two flowers that are different flowers, but they've got the same vibrancy of red in terms of colour. So I think they go well together. I'm going to try and wedge this in. And this is a tricky part because that bottom half there is very narrow in the mould. And I'm hoping it won't be too tricky to get the UV resin to kind of go into that area. You can warm up your UV resin so it flows easier. Particularly the hard type. It's easier to get it to flow if you put it in a water bath. A warm water bath first. We'll put it on a heat mat. I'm going to add a little leaf here as well. And some greenery just to kind of complement it around the back. So you should be able to wear this ring on either side, by the front or the back. That's ready. And then I've got these tiny little flowers that fit perfectly into the studs. If you can see the studs there. There they are. I can show you it does fit in there. That's perfect. And can just clip the stem off afterwards when it's cured. But given it does fit, I don't want to pop the flower in and then try and get resin in. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to coat the flower separately so that it's completely coated and any air bubbles are gone. Much easier than trapping air bubbles in those tiny little silicone moulds. There I am, trying to be gentle but getting it fully coated in the UV resin. I'm going to also drop a little bit of resin into the silicone mould there, just to make sure that there's no bubbles trapped at the bottom there. Give that a little whirl. And then I'm going to pop my little flower into there, so you can see that, hopefully, making sure I just move it around a little bit. Now you can use a long-nosed lighter to make sure that any surface bubbles quickly pop, but you have to be very careful. Although I showed you all the mica flakes, glitters and various different fillers earlier, as well as the coloured resin from J. Diction, sometimes less is more, and I think flowers in this instance on their own will look quite beautiful. And I don't think it needed anything more than these. And honestly, the mini scissors and tweezers help position everything neatly inside the moulds as well. It's quite hard to do it by hand when the moulds are quite small. And I do like to trim my flowers down so they fit nicely into each of the moulds. Some of them can be quite big or bulky, so gently cutting them into smaller pieces always makes a huge difference. I try to keep the nicest parts of the petals visible as well up top, especially for these rings where detail really stands out. So you can see me carefully placing the flowers inside, and you don't want to rush this part. Just take your time arranging them so they look balanced. And once I'm happy with the placement, I'll add a bit more resin on top to fully cover everything. I usually cue in short bursts and check the piece and repeat until it's fully hardened. Once everything is cured, it's time to pop them out of the moulds, and this is always my favourite part because you finally get to see the finished design. Some of my edges are likely to be a little rough as I did over pour a little, so I'll be using my rotary tool from Resiners later to sand and polish them down. This step really does make a difference and does give it that clean professional finish you're after if you're trying to sell these or give them to family or friends. And here's how this ring turned out. I absolutely love how the flowers look suspended inside the resin, and you know that each piece is completely unique. The colours really pop, especially that red in this. That's gorgeous. I do need to tidy up a little bit of the overspill around the lower half. That's gorgeous, isn't it? Absolutely love this, and it fits me perfectly on my index finger at least, so that's gorgeous, isn't it? Look at those flowers. They're as vibrant as ever in that resin. It's quite comfortable as well, though it is quite bulky up top, but again it's a unique piece that I think people will love. That yellow is also quite vibrant and it looks really nice next to that green leaf there. There is a little bit sticking out there, but I can clip that off later and sand it down and just give it a little bit of a coat over to polish it up. But look at that yellow flower, it's gorgeous, isn't it? And this is how they all look together. This is how they turned out. For the earrings, I did attach the backs using hypoallergenic metal earring posts, and these are great because they're more comfortable for sensitive ears like mine. I just secure them firmly and make sure everything is aligned properly on there. And time to take the other one off. So that's the red flower that I popped in there. How gorgeous is that? So timeless. These are really beautiful because you know the real flowers suspended inside these studs, and if you look really closely you can see how unique each one is. They're one of a kind and simply perfect. Let me know what you think in the comment box below. I will be polishing these up and tidying them up now using my rotary tool, and I'll show you some pictures at the end. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful or inspiring. Let me know in the comments which piece was your favourite, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Thank you for watching.
Beneath the starlit sky, our love's secret line, like leaves we soar so high.